Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking.
The unexplained story that begins where all your imagination ends.
All right, today we're diving into something really powerful, the Ballad of the Oppressed Dreamers. It's this incredible story about a society literally split in two. It's all about aspiration, power, and what happens when people who've been silenced finally decide to fight for their future. And this line, wow, it's really the beating heart of the whole thing. It just throws you right into the middle of this world where, for one group to succeed, another group has to fail. Their dreams are literally built on the ashes of someone else's. It's the brutal, fundamental truth of the world this poem creates. Okay, first up, the world of stolen dreams. So how does the poem actually build this divided society? Well, it starts by painting this picture of a place where dreams are kind of like a currency, one that's been hoarded by the powerful and basically stolen from everybody else. Right from the get-go, the poem tells us that the highest seats of power, Parliament itself, are filled with people who fed on the nation. And listen, this isn't just about them being neglectful. No. This is about a ruling class that is actively preying on its own people. They're holding on to their power through straight-up corruption and violence. And here, you can see just how divided this society is. I mean, the poem draws a really clear line in the sand. On one side, you've got the rulers, the kings, the ministers, the priests, and on the other side, well, you've got the people, the poor, the lowborn, the servants. It's a world of us versus them. And here's a really crucial point the poem makes. It's not just the political leaders who are corrupt. The poem is pointing a finger at the established institutions themselves. It describes temples and churches as places where dreams just drift away like ghosts. You've got priests sleeping peacefully, well-fed by the very people who are starving. These institutions are basically the pillars holding up this whole oppressive system. And that leads us to this incredibly powerful image. They never see the blood-stained dreams of the poor. I mean, the disconnect is just absolute. The rulers are living in their own little bubble of luxury, completely cut off from the harsh, violent reality that the people they rule have to face every single day. It's this massive chasm of experience separating them. So section 2, two classes, two dreams. And that chasm we were just talking about, it leads us right into the poem's central metaphor, this idea of forbidden dreams. And this isn't just about not having enough money or power. It goes way deeper. It's about a system that denies you the very right to even dream of something better. So what exactly is a forbidden dream? Well, according to the poem, it's pretty much any aspiration a common person might have that crosses those rigid class lines. Dreaming of holding a position of power, having a high status, or even just falling in love with someone from a higher class. All of that is completely off limits. It's reserved for what the poem calls noble blood. And the poem gives us some really concrete examples of how this whole system of exclusion works. I mean, look at this. Only the highborn are allowed to serve in the great temples. Leadership is always chosen from noble blood. The big temples, the high posts, the noble names, it's all one big exclusive club. The message is pretty clear, right? If you're a common person, your dreams are basically considered illegitimate. In this verse, it just makes that big, abstract idea so painfully personal. You have the master's son and the servant's daughter chasing each other through this land of forbidden dreams. But the poem is just heartbreakingly clear. Those dreams will never, ever come true. It shows you that this system doesn't just police your ambition, it polices your heart. All right, section 3, a dreamer's uprising. A system this brittle, this unfair, it just can't last forever. And this is where the poem makes a huge pivot. We get to the dramatic turning point, the moment the oppressed decide they've finally had enough. All that simmering despair, it's about to explode into a full-blown revolution. And this is the spark. It's this powerful moment of awakening when they all say, we are the oppressed, we are the lowborn. By finally naming their shared struggle, they create this powerful new identity. Suddenly, they have the strength to act. This isn't just one person's fight anymore. It's a movement. And they do not mess around. Their actions are swift, they're decisive. You can see the progression right here. First, they gathered together. Then, they made a king of their own. Step 3, they threw the corrupt rulers out. And finally, they started to build a brand new nation from the ground up. So, what was the ultimate goal? What was this all for? Well, the poem makes it really clear this wasn't about revenge, and it wasn't just some simple power grab. Their vision was to build a nation where dreamers like them could finally breathe again, a place where their dreams weren't forbidden anymore, but were actually possible. Okay, last section, the War of Dreams. And just when you think things are finally looking up, the poem takes a really dark, violent turn. That victory, it turns out to be tragically short-lived. The old guard, well, they don't just fade away, they regroup. And a new, even more brutal conflict is about to begin. The poem puts it so simply, but it's absolutely chilling. But the fallen elite return. Yeah, the old rulers who were thrown out, they just refuse to accept their defeat. They're coming back to reclaim what they believe is theirs. And you can bet they're not coming back to talk. And how are they going to do it? With money. The poem says they're buying death with gold. They use their massive wealth to bankroll a violent counter-revolution, hiring whoever they need to tear down everything the dreamers have built, piece by piece. I mean, the language here is just terrifyingly direct. Murderers rise again to kill our dreams. This fight isn't just political anymore, it's existential. The elite aren't just coming back to regain control. They're coming back with one specific goal in mind: to kill the very idea of this new nation, to extinguish any last shred of hope. And this is the furious climax of the whole story. The poem calls it a great class war, but it's really a war of ideas, a war of futures. Dream fights dream. On one side, you have the dream of the old oppressive hierarchy, and on the other, the dream of a new liberated society. It's a fight for the soul of the nation. And this really lays out the stakes, doesn't it? The two sides couldn't be more different. You've got the old rulers, whose entire goal is to destroy, to freeze dreams with ice and drag everyone right back into chains. And then you have the dreamers. They're on the defensive, fighting for the new nation they've built, fighting a desperate war for their very right to dream. So after all of this epic, violent struggle, what's the final message? What are we supposed to take away from this? Well, the poem doesn't give us a neat, happy ending. Not at all. Instead, it leaves us with this really stark, urgent warning, a final, crucial message for all the dreamers out there. Poor man, do not sleep now. If you do, you will lose everything again. And there it is. The final lines are speaking directly to the poor man, and really to all of us. The message is brutally clear. This fight is never, ever over. Freedom, the right to dream, it all requires constant, unending vigilance. The moment you sleep, the moment you get complacent, that's the moment you risk losing everything all over again. It's a powerful, unsettling, and honestly, an unforgettable ending to a story about the endless struggle for a better future.
This is just a pause, not the end.